One more time. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Whimsy Live. Whimsy Nooners. All right, so I am in theory recording this twice. I got one with you guys on the live. I got one over here. I'm going to try and maybe convert this into episode 80. I don't know if we're going to have a Liam next weekend. You might have a wrestling trip. So we're just going to do kind of a review, a little bit of what is going on, like a wrap up for Chronicon. So give me 2 seconds, otherwise I'm distracted to find this one here. Okay, perfect. So we will see what we can. We'll see if this one records. Like another here recording for the audio, because I don't know how to take the audio off of YouTube, convert it into the podcast episode. So we're just fucking winging this whole thing. Episode dropped today. It was like an hour and a half long, 3-parter. Liam and I's thoughts about Friday morning before the con, the day after one, and the wrap up for day 2. So those episodes are all together. Those are out there. Conceptually, we wanted to do another episode touching on Chronicon. If Liam's not here next weekend, it would be like another week, and I don't want to go too far outside of, I don't want to go 3 weeks still talking about Chronicon. We would, if there's enough chatter we can come up with, we would. But this is kind of just recording. It's going to be a Wednesday episode. So if you're listening to this now, just play it on Wednesday just for the view count. But you're not going to hear anything different or new. I don't even know if this thing's going to go out correctly. So we'll see if I can play with that a little bit later today. That's funny. I used the wrong computer to record, by the way. I can make it work. But I need this one to get the audio of it. All right. Like I said, we're going to go very Chronicon heavy today. We're going to give old man's review of the weekend. Liam and I hung out. We went to Chicago. If this is your first time tuning into the show, hang out for a couple minutes, and then we'll get into the Chronicon. But yeah, nothing crazy. I got some notes, got some shit together. It's going to be a fun time. So let's just go ahead and get the show started. Let's move. Let's see. This segment, getting to know me, is getting to know what I've been doing this week. Obviously, huge spoiler. I already said it. We're going to be talking about Chronicon. And although it was Kevin Smith, the View Skew Universe's entire week, there's some other stuff happening other than Chronicon. So we're just going to give a couple of, make you guys aware of a couple of things that I saw real quick before we get into the Chronicon. Ted Lasso, we got some TV news. Ted Lasso is half confirmed for season 4. Apple has not released any kind of official confirmation of season 4. There's a handful of people talking that says, yes, we are in the talks of it. A couple people are actually confirmed to come back if we do it. It looks like everything about season 4 is contingent on what Jason Sudeikis wants to do. I guess for the 3 episodes that they shot for Ted Lasso, it was a little hard maintaining that work-life balance for him, shooting in England, London, versus family everywhere else. So he's the one structuring what season 4 and beyond will look like. He has not confirmed anything, but I think they're trying to figure out what the story is going to look like, what we're going to do. They did announce that a couple of people aren't coming back, but this is all good news for anybody who likes Ted Lasso. If you haven't watched it, Mom, grandma. 3 episodes, 10. It's like season 1 had like 12. It's like 36 episodes. It's Liam and I's one of like top 3 favorite TV shows. He watched it all weekend. Ted Lasso, keep an eye out for. We got some news coming at season 4. We'll see what happens with it. Also, in some TV news, this guy, right here, creator of BoJack Horseman, which is my favorite TV show of almost all time, was on Netflix 10 years ago. BoJack came out, ran 6 seasons. It was an amazing show. Lisa, what's her last name? Halsworth? Oh, I don't even know. Lisa. So we got Bob, creator. This guy, his last name is Bob. Somebody, I don't know. I'm stuck at names. You guys know that. I'm sorry. So he's coming back. The lady who drew it, Lisa's coming back. A bunch of the BoJack Horseman crew is coming back. They did get the confirmation that they are coming up with a new story and a new show called Long Story Short. No idea what it's going to be about, but as long as he's doing it, Lisa's drawing, I'm totally in. I absolutely love this show. I don't know how to sell you guys on BoJack Horseman. It's groundbreaking. Still considered one of like the top 10 best animated shows of all time. But this show's coming out scheduled for like early to mid 2025. So I'm excited for that. And then we also have, I'm going to go into this probably next week. I got to figure this out. This kid right here, okay, episode 60, we had Cheese. Tetris Professional came on. We talked about the history of Tetris, the high score, the evolution of the game. I asked a question at the end of the interview with Cheese that said, could we ever hit a rebirth, which is you play the game so fucking long, you get to level 255, and then the game starts over at 0. The little research that I did with Tetris, it seems almost impossible, right? Because there are certain aspects to the game after a certain level. Like, so once you get into the 200s, there are certain maneuvers and things that will crash the game before you get to 255. She's mentioned that crash dodging seems wildly difficult to do. This kid here, what is it? Dog Plays Tetris. We mentioned him in that episode. He's fucking killing it. About a week ago, just under a week ago, he hits a rebirth. He gets all the way through 255 levels, level 230, has 800 lines. He hits the rebirth and he comes back to 0. Absolutely. Hey, Esther. Absolutely love that he did it. But what I want to finish researching on is, before I go super crazy about it, is Cheese and I had this, right? We thought crash dodging was too much to hit a rebirth. So what I have to research is, did he do this on an original NES console and game cartridge, or did he use like an emulator, right? One of the approved emulators. Thank you. Which is like, if he did play it on an emulator or a different format that is Tetris, but removes all the game crashes from the late levels, then what he did is still amazing, right? But when we talked about, go back and listen to episode 60 with Cheese. It was a fascinating episode. He's the first to hit a rebirth in that format, right, where there's no game crashes. But then there's still those people who are going to play on the original NES who are going to try and crash dodge and get a real rebirth, right? I don't want to take anything away from Dogs here. He's fucking killing. He did something amazing. But I think if we've learned anything is Tetris is competitive on so many different levels. Oh, there was a level joke. I missed it. Damn it. There was a Tetris level joke somewhere because pieces fall and moves up levels. There we go, guys. That's the quality of fucking jokes you're getting today. But dog, a big day for Tetris. Regardless of however he did it, he did something no one else has done yet. We're just gonna have to see how many times someone can do a rebirth, and/or can we do it with a legit dodge crash for the loss of the game. So we'll see. But it was still a big day. Fantastic. She's the whole Tetris community. Love you guys. It is awesome to think that we touched base on this a couple of months ago, and then it actually fucking happened. Like, that's what Chasing the Wind, that's what Whimsy does. Whimsy throws some shit out in the universe, and shit is happening. We said, hey, do you think there could be a rebirth? And there's a fucking rebirth. Whimsy puts it out in the universe, and it happens. This is a power I didn't know I had. And I absolutely love it. We're going to do some good with it. With this power that I can just kind of just throw Whimsy out there, right? We're going to see what we can do. Chronicon. That's what we're talking about today, guys. We're going to be hanging out talking about Chronicon. If you listened to the episode this morning, hour and a half of me and Liam just touching base on what we did every day. I'm going to probably repeat a lot of stuff. It is what it is. Deal. But there's a couple of things I think I can add that wasn't originally recorded. An old man's perspective on the events, my opinions, some of the things that I thought or noticed. If at the very least, just a huge, this is just a nice thank you live stream episode to Kevin Smith, his special guests, his family, the crew. They put on a fantastic weekend. So if I repeat myself, it's only because they had a significant impact on their universe, their fandom, their community. This is the first trip that Liam and I took solo with each other across state lines. Liam and I have an experience that we never would have had without Chronicon. So, like, Chronicon is changing lives. There's a short that I did. Somebody walked by and was like, you guys have to go to Chronicon. Chronicon is changing lives. So, where are we at? 10 minutes? Nope. 14 minutes. Buckle up, guys. We're going to hear about some Conan, some Kevin Smith, VSQ Universe. Buckle up. We're going to hang out. We'll be here for probably about the next 45 minutes. And we'll see what goes on.
Go check out Chasing the Whimsy, the podcast, available today on your favorite podcast platforms. Chasing the Whimsy, where a 40-year-old father and his two kids take a whimsical journey of fun stories and educating each other about their respective generation. Generation X squares off with Generation Z to try to connect and find an understanding between generations 30-plus years apart. They'll journey through the past and track their journey as they find out who they'll grow up to be. Again, that's Chasing the Whimsy, available today on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well, and you can also find the show and learn more about the hosts at chasingthewhimsy.com. Chasing the Whimsy, ChasingTheWhimsy, Chasing the Whimsy, the podcast. Many episodes up for you to listen to already. Go stream, download, and subscribe today. You can also connect and follow on Twitter at Chase the Whimsy and on Instagram and TikTok at Chasing the Whimsy.
All right. We talked about it. What's the discussion today is going to be Chronicon. We've heard of like comic book conventions. We heard of all the big one, San Diego, New York has a big one. So like we with Marvel, the DC universe, Disney, right? They have brought geek culture to the fucking surface, man. Like there's geek everywhere. And these conventions are just blowing up now, right? Years ago, back in 92, 93, there was a gentleman in New Jersey who loved all this nerd stuff and decided that he wanted to make movies. That guy was Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, over his career, has made a handful of movies. Clerks, Tux, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 1, 2, and 3, Reboot, Jersey Girl, Zack and Mary, Yoga Hosers he did with his daughter. We got Cop Out that he kind of doesn't like because it wasn't his. He directed it, but he didn't write it. Across all of these movies that he does, he references pop culture, something that he loved and that kind of inspired him to be who he is. You know, he definitely gives nods to pop culture. Clerks has a bunch of Star Wars references before it was even like he did that back in like 92, 93. He's been making jokes about Star Wars, the Marvel Universe, just fandom for years, and it's finally caught up, right? And now everybody is enjoying it. He's getting a kind of a resurgence of people refining his stuff. He loves that Liam watches the movies. He loves the idea of young people coming in and finding his stuff. One, it means it's aging well, and it does. Maybe a couple of jokes here and there, but for the most part, Kevin Smith has a pretty fun and unique voice in his movies. So, right, you got your comic book conventions. Okay, so what Kevin Smith did early on, which was super cool, is he took Clerks, right? He took the characters from Clerks, and then he references them in Chasing Amy, Mallrats. Then he does a sequel to Clerks, and he brings all of these people back, and he sprinkles like a little bit of his universe across all of his movies. Like they're all interconnecting somewhere at some point for most of them. There's a gentleman in Clerks 1 that died in the bathroom that they reference in Mallrats, and then they reference it again in Chasing Amy. We're bringing people back. It's all over. It's fantastic. What Marvel did, right? They created the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They took Iron Man, and across 25, 30 movies and TV shows, Marvel weaved all these fucking characters into like one universe. Kevin Smith started doing that back in 92. He created this universe so much in a way that he was able to take the movies that we all love, all his fans love, create his own con, his own convention, Chronic Con. It was kind of like a random. He did a movie Reboot, right, where they have to go to a convention to stop a movie being made about Jay and Silent Bob or his Blunt Man and Chronic, some characters that they created in his universe, right? So they have to go to a Chronic Con, right? Because you can't use any of the real cons. You don't have money for that. So he's like, I'm just gonna make one up myself, Chronic Con. And it was just kind of just a throwaway like location in a movie to kind of, they needed to go somewhere to stop the movie from being made. So like he just like, I guess, a convention. And the beauty of Kevin Smith is that he takes these ideas and then he just keeps evolving it. And he's like, let's make a real Chronicon. And he did this weekend in Chicago, The first ever Chronicon. Liam and I went. We had a blast. There's Chronic, obviously, is a reference to the marijuana weed. But it wasn't a weed convention. It was a Kevin Smith convention. Obviously, there were hints of it, places, but it was a weekend of just nerd fandom who like and appreciate Kevin Smith, and we all just gathered and we hung out for 3 days. Well, they hung out for 3 days. I hung out for 2 days. Part of it is like these conventions, Chicago, San Diego, New York, all the other big ones, right? You got sci-fi cons. You have Lord of the Rings con. Lord of the Rings is probably that one has a huge fucking following. So yeah, I get that one. But some of these cons, thousands of people show up for, but there's multiple different franchises. So if you have a sci-fi con, it's going to have all of your sci-fi people, right? You're going to do a comic book convention. You have all your different comic books. Kevin Smith, one guy, one universe, puts on a con and has the best time. He brings in his friends, his family, people from the movies. And it was just anything and everything. Kevin Smith, Clerks, View Askew was there. It's crazy to think you could take all of this fandom across a dozen and a half movies and create like a weekend that people can just come over and hang out. Like huge win to Kevin Smith, huge win to all of us. Like this, like the one thing that I heard all weekend was Kevin Smith thanking us for liking him enough to be able to do that. We thank him for doing it. The people, the crew. I can't say enough about the crew. I'm going to be talking about those fuckers like all day. The con crew, the staff behind the scenes, killed it this weekend. Everybody from behind the scenes to the fans to Kevin Smith and his friends and family. We couldn't have had the weekend that we did if everybody just didn't do their part. So this is a thank you to everything, right? Like fantastic. So that was a little bit about Kevin Smith. Some news real quick that came out just before the con. Dogma was a Miramax owned property at some point, and he doesn't own the movie. Miramax did it, and then Miramax ended up selling it to somebody. The big news that came out of like 2 days that broke before Chronicon was Kevin Smith is getting the rights back to Dogma. So next year you're going to see Dogma everywhere. It's going to be amazing. It's amazing stuff. What else is going on? All right. Day one. We did some live streams. We were looking for signatures. We were there for 2 days, right? Last week, talked about what we were looking to get, hope to accomplish. And we mentioned that there was going to I didn't even, to be fair, I didn't even think we were going to live stream, but it was Land's idea to like show me how to use the technologies on my phone. So I was able to like live stream, and I walked around. That was the best worst thing he could have done for me, because I ended up walking. There's on YouTube, there's a 7-minute video right when we got there. We put our luggage away and we walk the floor. Right. Okay. And here's some disclosures about the live stream, guys. They were fun. We live streamed across Instagram and YouTube. We did it on my phone and we did it on the laptop. The quality is like 80% good. A lot of you guys are gonna be like, it wasn't that bad. No, I went back and rewatched most of it last night. There were some moments that were completely awful. And I'll get into why. Maybe my final thoughts. Let me write that down. I don't have a fucking pen, Ben. Good job. Oh, here we go. Final thoughts. Live stream. Live. I had a blast. So on YouTube and Instagram, I think we have highlights or what are those things called? Playlists of everything that I have Chronicon related. So day one, hours before the show starts, 12 hours before the show starts, I am walking the halls. I'm giving everybody an idea of what I think is going to happen, where all the people were going to be. They had the room open for the panel room. We went in there. You guys can see that video was good. That was 7 minutes long, but you can see the space that he had available to him for the convention. The panel room was huge. It was fantastic. Liam and I were excited. We just couldn't get to sleep. So he was fine with me walking around, shooting the live. We recorded downstairs. The first part of the episode that dropped today, we recorded downstairs in that room, not the panel room, but in that huge hallway. So the live streams, right? He's sleeping because we eventually passed out like it had to have been close to 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning because the one place opened up. It was like 5 o'clock because I didn't want to wait the hour for the hotel restaurant to open up. So we would pass out. Con doesn't start until 4 o'clock on Monday. I'm up by noon, I think. I don't know. But I record for an hour and a half, just walking up and down, talking to people, hanging out, and just kind of just watch people, fantastic stuff. The quality aspects with regards to the live, I think one of the takeaways is I clearly had no idea what I was doing, nor do I know like how the sound works. So some of the sound is a little bit low, but you can listen, it's there. But I live streamed a bunch. Live at Chronicon was like an hour and 27 minutes long. And I am just all over. It was fun. Met some people. Met a guy, Steve, who does a podcast, Too Much Scrolling. Met him. He loved it. Everybody there's dressed up, having a good time. Met him, met a couple of other podcasters. The beauty of it was, like, as I'm shooting, right, I'm like walking around doing my thing, is catching all the different celebrity that walk by and be like, right. The funniest thing about the live stream is that hour in that morning, right, getting ready, I text Ming Chen. I'm like, hey man, are there rules about me live streaming or record? Because I brought hand recorders, right? Because part of the original idea was I walk around instead of a phone, I'd just have a hand recorder, and I would just have to edit all that shit together, and it would come out as just an audio. But Ming Chen replies back and says, there are no rules, just have a good time. So he's in that universe. He's in 430 movie. He works directly like under Kevin Smith. Ming Chen, I think we even mentioned in his intro, created the first Clerks website. He's been with them since like 94. So when Ming Chen says, yeah, there are no rules. I fucking took it and I ran with it. Now, Liam and I did have the conversation about how much podcaster would I be versus fanboy. And he agreed that we found that nice happy medium, especially in day 2. But he came down and I'm just talking to everybody. I even live streamed the pre meeting, like the VIP meeting in the like before the show, like 4:00, 4:30 ish, right? I recorded that. Now, to be fair, I was a little bit more like hidey about it, like, but very few, if anybody, stopped me. One time did somebody stop me. It was Meggie, fantastic lady. She's fucking vigilant, man. She's like, I think she might have been Jen Schwabach's handler. I think that's correct. I'm sorry if that's the wrong verbiage. But she was like, no recording. I'm like, I'm not recording anybody. She's like, don't record, without permission / don't record Kevin's line, because he had a big line for signatures and stuff. So I didn't know where to hold the camera, because I'm like, I don't, like, Liam panicked. He was like, just bail. He's like, let's just leave. We're not leaving. We're not doing. But yeah, put that in my pocket. So there's like a large video of like 8. Now here's what sucks. All right. So you go after this, you're going to go to YouTube, you're going to look for that video, you're going to watch it, and you're like, all right, it's not so bad. We can't hear a lot of stuff, but we can hear Ben. You can hear me clearly. Like, you can hear me for days. But you're like, he's having a good time. We like it. It's fun footage. Like the last 12 minutes of it, when I got in trouble, right, I put it in my pocket and I muted it. And then we talked to Jen Schwabach for a minute, and I took my phone back out, and the fucking thing is still on mute. I talked to Mark Bernardin for like 2.5 minutes, and it never recorded. Like, you can see him talking. He's having a good time. He was like, I got nothing. I feel so bad. Mark Bernardin is a fucking gem of the con. I don't think Liam, thinks that he's not getting enough attention or appreciation. He's a little bit newer to the universe. I fucking love Mark Bernardin. He's my favorite part of Batman Beyond, the podcast. And I muted all the way through it. Go figure. Let me see. Where's my mouse? I live streamed so much stuff. It was a blast. Then I live streamed the end of day 2. But before the end, the end of day 1. Before we got to the end of day 1, Liam and I were on the hunt for fucking signatures. Here's a picture of all the guests that he had. Trevor, Austin, Zazier, like Frazier, but with the Zazier. Genesis Rodriguez, Tommy Chung. He came out for a day. His line fucking got crazy on day 2. Mikel Castro, Ming Chen, Robert Kurtzman up there in the top corner next to. He was on episode like 25, 26. We saw him over at the TuesCon convention. Bottom, Harley Quinn, Jen Schwabach, Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, Marilyn Giuliani, and Shannon Elizabeth from Strike Back Fam. We met all of these people except for Harley Quinn. I didn't get a chance to because her line was big and she was late and running around doing her thing. Liam had his Clerks 3 pops, right, that we got for Christmas last year. Like, we know what pops are, right? The Funko Pops, like the fucking things that are like this big, right? I told Liam, I'm like, we got to pack light. And he's like, Okay, and he brings fucking like 7 of these things. I'm like, where are you gonna put all these? He's like, I can handle it, Dad. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm like, it's up to you. I'm like, he did it. He Tetris those things into his suitcase. A couple of them he's carrying around. But you want to get them all signed. So you got to pay for signatures. I've never been to like a bigger convention. I get that you pay for signatures, right? And pictures. Like I get that. The pricing on these guys, premium. Like I get it. That shit added up. We're averaging minus Kevin Smith. He was obviously the highest paid one. You're looking at like $40 average for a signature. Liam got like a handful of signatures. I got a handful of signatures. And then like at the end of day one, I'm like, I think we're done. I'm like, I don't know what the rest of our budget looks like. But everybody that signed was fantastic. They all took a couple of minutes, hung out, a couple of selfies, and just it was nice just to talk to them. But like they gave everybody a couple of minutes for us to say thank you and what we liked about what they did. Meant a lot to Liam that they gave him those couple of minutes to talk. And then they were all sincere, and Liam, like, it blew Liam's mind. It was like, actors are like real people, and they're cool, and they're the nicest ever. Because Liam for a minute worried. There's that saying, right? You never meet your heroes, because like, what happens if they disappoint you? And Liam met a bunch of these people and absolutely loves them. They loved him. There's not a lot of kids. I had to guess Liam was the youngest person that has seen the majority of the catalog and understands the VSQ universe. There was a couple like 4 or 5-year-olds running around, but I think that was more like we couldn't get a babysitter, so they have to come now. And they hung out, but I think Liam was the youngest to fully appreciate what it is that they've done and seen their stuff. He's never Tommy Chung. He knew him, but didn't quite fully understand the Tommy Chung fascination because that line fucking rapped out like crazy. It was fun. I had a Clerks and Chasing Amy screenplay book, so it has the scripts of both Clerks and Chasing Amy in it. So I got some signatures for everybody who was in Clerks 1. The guy's second, right? Austin Zager. Liam absolutely fucking adores this guy. We saw him a little bit in Clerks 3. He starred in 4:30 movie. What was funny is we went downstairs like noonish, 1-ish, like early, just after breakfast, to get some food. And Austin comes in, right, his hat down, like, the guy just wants a fucking muffin and a drink. So he's just, Liam looks at me, he's like, that's him. I'm like, you think so? He's like, yeah. We turn around, we're like, you Austin? And he's like, he got me. The nicest guy. He shook my hand and he was like, get the fuck away. He's like, I'll talk to the kid. Yeah, him and Liam fucking hit it off. So when we met him on the con floor, again, he pushes, everybody's just pushing me away. They're like, old guy with the camera, get out of here. We want to talk to the kid, which I'm totally cool with. Yeah, and they hung out, they chatted. Austin remembered his name. Liam was like, he remembered my name. I'm like, I know. I'm like, they have to remember, like, I don't want to take anything away from him, but yes, he remembered his name. Gave him a DVD or a DVD. Yeah. Shit. Yeah, gave him a DVD. I guess he did a movie, Scary Stories or something. I think it's like an anthology scary story type movie. So Liam got that. Yeah, high fives and hugs. He had a blast. Trevor, right next to him, was Elias, was fun. Loved everybody. Liam and I had a discussion of like how cool, because obviously as like the fanboy podcast, when they blend, it's how cool would it be if we could have any of these people on the podcast? And I'm like, well, who would you want on the podcast? And he's like, well, now here's the important thing to think about, right? Is it is not impossible at all for us to grab any of the people from this, from that were guests, right? Because remember, fun fact, Chasing the Whimsy has had 2 of these people already on the podcast, right? So like these headliner guests, 2 of them have already been on. Ming Chen's been on episode 37 and 61. 62? 62. Kurtzman, episode 25, 26-ish. Like, so when Liam was like, well, I reminded him, I'm like, we have had View Askew, right? Brian Johnson from Tell 'em Steve Dave, they're like View Askew adjacent. They were all friends. They worked together. They were on the podcast network for a while. So like we've had Brian Johnson on. Like View Askew has touched our podcast. So I'm like, who do you want? He's like Jen Schwabach, Kevin's wife, Harley Quinn's mom. She's been in a couple of movies. She was in Red State. She was one of the female roles in Strike Back, and Silent Bob Strike Back. A couple of cameos throughout the rest of the movies. He's like, I want Jen Schwabach. I said, yeah. We went to a panel on day 1. We went and saw the +1 panel. It was Kevin Smith, Jen Schwabach, right? Kevin Smith, since like 94, when he started 93, 94, when after Clerks, like right before Clerks got sold, he started doing like Q&As. So all he does now is fucking Q&A. The guy has been talking for 30 years about everything he does in movies, and my hands are fucking everywhere. The guy will take over a microphone. So to do a podcast with his wife, it's sweet. She doesn't want to be like, she likes being in the movies, but she's like not like pushing for like huge roles and stuff. +1, the beauty of +1 is it's Kevin Smith that we like, but he brings his wife in with it. He does his Kevin Smith thing, but it's sweet for him to love podcasting and the movies so much that he's like, I want her in it with me. And it was sweet to see the 2 of them together. What is interesting is when you watch Kevin Smith, and then because I never saw a +1 live before. Normally it's just a podcast. But if you watch any of the live ones, if you pay attention for a second, when Kevin's talking to his wife or about his wife, dude, he fucking lights up. Like, so like it's special, I think, to for those 2 to hang out. They bring in Harley Quinn, which is the daughter, and the three of them were hanging out and back and forth telling stories. Very like Chasing the Whimsy starts because we want to tell stories, Liam and I, about my past and just capture some memories. And that's all they did on their +1, right? Is do you remember this time when you were 5? Remember this time when you were, or what do you remember of this when you were 6? So it was interesting to be like, they're doing the exact same content that Liam and I are doing. So after seeing +1, we go and talk to Jen Schwabach, and we're like, we want to be on. We love to have you on our show. You're whatchamacallit, at the end, right? Jen is like, Harley Quinn, you live 10 minutes away. We want you to come over for one night of dinner every week. Just come over for one dinner a week. And like, it's fucking crazy. I told Jen, I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm hearing you, right? Talk about how you just want the three of you guys together for like one day out of the week. And then like, I'm like, I'm there. I'm like, I can't get my kid to come see me every week. He's got fucking shit to do. And then I'm like, my mom does the same thing. I'm like, you guys are onto something. Like I'm getting it. Where it's just like, let the kids do them, but out of the entire, like, find an hour. But like, Harley Quinn only lives 10 minutes from them. I live fucking 7.5 minutes from mom. So it's one of those things where it's just like, so I'm telling you guys all right now, call your mom, go to dinner, just fucking one day. That's all they want, for an hour, just hang out, chat. So I was like, so we talked to her. We're like, we like you to come on. We're talking about family. Liam fucking hates like coming over, doing, like, he's doing his thing. Like, so we related a bunch to her as the mother, right? Holding the family together, just like fucking missing her kids. So we did that. We talked to her. We got her business card, so I already sent an email. 50-50. I think we can get Jen Schwabach on that podcast, which will be totally cool. I think that's pretty much okay. The rest of day one, we had karaoke at night at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Liam and I went upstairs. We ate. I get back down, and that's when the other live streams is. We saw the people walking by. I got a couple of cool shorts that we got out of that one. Brian O'Halloran came up. It was so funny. He saw us live streaming. And the beauty of it, right, is like, I'm live streaming, and no, like, the guests and celebrity, the crew, nobody cared. Just like, yeah, that fucking guy let him do his thing. So much that the crew is just like, oh, it's him again. But yeah, there's a Brian O'Halloran short out there that was just hilarious. He yells at my mom, why are these kids out past midnight? Ming Chen stopped by. Again, totally supported us doing whatever it is that we were doing. And so it was a good time. Day one was just action-packed. I was on my feet for hours. I was walking around for hours. I was videoing for hours. We had a good time. We did not get a Kevin Smith signature until day two. Day two, we had panels. No, like, I got him, like, I'm just going to stop everything for 2 seconds. Like, it looked like I pushed the button to move in to day two. No, because remember, it's all timed. So I timed that perfectly. Sorry. Anyway, day two, a lot of panels, right? Let's just jump into the panel schedule here. You guys saw this last week. We did not make it to Hollywood Babylon because there was a signatures at noon. That line started at like 10:30, right? So the con opens, so we got early access still, right? So at like 10:30, I call Liam. I'm like, we have to get in line. So Liam comes down. We hang out in line. They do the Hollywood Babylon show. Noon rolls around. So we were in line for like an hour and a half, just a little bit longer to get the Kevin Smith signature. In line, we met a couple of some nice guys. Two guys, I don't know what the hell I'm not good with names, and nobody exchanged names because I think we're just all like socially awkward to be like, I love what you love, but we get so excited about the fandom that we forget like proper introductions. So I don't know who some of these people are. There was one gentleman that was really nice. He retired, opened up a comic book store called the Crooked Dog Comics. I'm look him up and see if he wants to come on sometime and say hi. But yeah, he opened a comic book store. So we met, hanging out, we're talking to people, comparing what we're having signed, right? Liam's like, boom, I got a limited edition Jade and Silent Bob Chronicon, like pops. I think it's signed and some other stuff. And it was a good time. We hung out. We get the signature. We meet him, Kevin Smith. We get hugs, big thank yous. I give him some fucking stickers, right? We're like, I podcast because of you. And to be fair, I probably do podcast because of him. Like the biggest influence is going to be Tom, Steve, Dave, right? As far as like actually doing it in content-wise, but it all stems. But Kevin Smith got them starting it, and I've been listening to Kevin Smith for years, and he used to always end his shows with, "If you want a podcast, it's easy, just record." So that's what we did. So we said thank yous. All right. There was okay. So here's our Kevin Smith anecdotes. Day one, I'm walking up, right, the hotel. I turn the corner, and I see a guy kind of like talking to himself for a second. Turns around, like because he's looking for his room, past his room. And then Kevin Smith does this hand gesture thing where, like, if you ever watch, he does this hand gesture, right? So he does it, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking Kevin Smith. So I'm like, Kevin, give him a little nod. What's up? He says hi. He's 6 rooms down from us. Like, how fucking cool is that? So I tell Liam, I'm like, hey, FYI, because you ran upstairs, right, and you don't want to hang out with me, I got Kevin. I know where Kevin Smith is staying. Like, I legit know what room he's in. Liam's like, nah. So Liam would like hang. I'm talking too much. So Liam's like, doesn't believe me. So he's hanging out outside, thinking he's just going to walk by. And I'm like, he's downstairs doing the gun. You're not going to see him walk by. This kid is fucking relentless. There was one panel, right, that he left. And Liam was like, peace out. And he runs back to the room, right? Because Liam knows that if Kevin Smith goes from behind this, like backstage, up the elevator, right? Liam fucking times it perfectly to run into Kevin Smith right in front of the door. They say hi at the elevator. However they timed it, they got to the elevator at the same time. Liam got a hug from Kevin Smith the end of night one. He calls me. He's like, I don't have a room key. Oh, by the way, Kevin Smith just gave me a hug. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah. And it was confirmed on the live. One of the lives. The gentleman with the green hair that was bodyguarding or handling Kevin confirmed it. So Liam did get a hug. But yeah, like I saw Kevin Smith wild in the wild once, and then Liam saw him twice. All right, so the panels. We went to the clerks panel. Again, Kevin Smith can talk for days, so he's not invited to the clerks panel, which was nice because it gave O'Halloran, Marilyn, Austin, and Trevor a chance to talk and answer a question. I have a small. O'Halloran is probably the more well known of the four, so I kind of have a problem with people asking questions specifically to one person when there's three other people on the panel. I mentioned that on the episode where I'm like, I get we're all fans, but like give everybody else a chance or ask a question that all of them can answer. So that was my only beef with the weekend, with the panel, with all the panels, is find a question that's relevant to everybody. But we watched that panel. Liam's like, we have to be up front for everything. So we were front row for that. So that's 2:00, right? So we're in line to get a signature from Kevin Smith by like 1. We run upstairs for a sandwich. We come back down for the panel. We're front row. 2:00. 2:00. We do the Clerks panel. We do the Shannon Elizabeth panel like right after. So we stay in the same seats. Shannon Elizabeth was fantastic. She's doing a lot of work for like animal conservation. They have a blind white rhino that they're taking care of, and she's building shit, trying to save the animals. Like she's a saint. Great answers. Some of the your demographics for any convention, and then with the Kevin Smith convention, it's like turned up to 11-ish. It's a very male-dominated experience. So sometimes you get gentlemen that ask some weirder questions. Not like, I think it's phrased a little bit like, I don't know. There was a couple of like weird questions, but Shannon Elizabeth was fantastic. What's interesting is O'Halloran was really good at it. Kevin Smith, obviously, is how they can take a question and then make like the answer, make something out of it, which is super cool. So that way, like you as the person, because I didn't ask the question, Liam did twice. So like the fact that they asked the question, I get it. You're nervous, you're a fan of them, so I get that. But it's kind of nice. There's an art I never noticed to answering those type of questions, or any question, right? And then to make it like get a good answer out of it, so that way, don't feel dumb. Be like, well, that was kind of a basic question. Oh, cool! I got a really good answer out of it. That was our complaint with the evening with panel. Liam asked a question to Shannon Elizabeth. Oh, he asked a question about, is she coming back for Clerks or for reboot, the new reboot? The new Jay and Silent Bob movie. I think it's called Store Wars. So in that universe, she technically has Jay's love child, so she's in the universe. She didn't know, but she's like, I'd love to come back. After 3:00, we have the 4:00 amusing stories. So this is an interesting one. I have not seen an amusing stories before. Like I went to a Jay and Silent Bob Get Old show once at a comedy club. I listened to the podcast, but I've never heard an amusing stories. This show is Jay Muse doing stand-up, basically. So what Kevin Smith has been doing for 30 years, Jay Muse is now doing. It's half stand-up, half telling stories. His opening act was fantastic. I don't remember that guy's name, but to be fair, he likes being under the radar. That was a fun show. Liam asked a question. Liam's question was, I think I have that one recorded. Shit, I don't know if I do or not. Yeah, asked Jay, are you nervous for your kids? He's got 2 kids. Are you excited to have your kids, or are you nervous that your kids are going to find your movies one day? And then gives a brilliant answer. He's not so much worried about the movies, but anybody who knows Jason Mewes is like he had a huge, like he struggled with drugs for years, like all the way up through like starting in like 96 with Mallrats. He's sober now 14 years. So congratulations to Jay Mewes on your sobriety. But yeah, there was chunks of years where it was a fucking roller coaster. He's been very open about it for years. That was where Jay and Silent Bob Get Old came from, was let's tell stories about your past, hold yourself accountable, tell some stories. Kevin Smith had a blog once. He put that blog into a book called My Boring Ass Life, and there was like a chapter chunk that he wrote over multiple days of who was it? My Shadow, and it huge detail of his relationship with Jamie. I mean, that shit was written years ago, like 90s, like probably in the early 2000s. So like Kevin Smith's writing has kind of evolved a little bit over the years. So everybody's aware of it. We know it. The one thing he's not embarrassed about it, but his one thing, Jamie, was like, when do we start telling the kids that dad had a drug problem? And so it was a good answer. It was interesting. On the way out, Liam's like, play Fortnite with me. And then fucking Liam like gets all his deets. They got a date today to play Fortnite later tonight. Like, what? Fuck you, man. So, yeah, everybody was really super nice. It was a good time. And then we went to the evening with Kevin Smith. There's 3 DVDs out. Just recording different evening withs, right? It's a Q&A that he does. Some of the bigger ones they shoot to put on DVD. We've seen all of those, but it's just Q&A. Someone asks a question, and the beauty, like the beauty. Okay, so here's two things. Like, if you want to ask a question, you're screwed, right? Because he's talking for 2 hours, but he only gets to like 6 questions. The man will take a question, and then he will build an answer that's like 25, 30 minutes long. Too Fat for 40 was a DVD he did for his birthday when he turned 40. And it was a kind of like an evening with, but they just retitled it for his birthday. Someone asked a question, and his story, his answer went like an hour and a half, and that was the whole episode. Like the whole Too Fat for 40 birthday special was just one question, and then he just for an hour and a half talked about it. He goes in one place, comes out another place. It was fantastic. So we saw that here. You get some, again, basic questions, but again, I can't poop on anybody because I didn't ask a question, so I'm not going to poop on someone for being like, well, that's a dumb question because I didn't ask one. But at the same time, it's weird to ask your heroes, your fan, your like the people that you look up to, ask them questions like that. But yeah, a couple of really good answers. Liam walked away for a second. Missed the last story, which was fantastic. It was a Ben Affleck, Jay Mewes story, which was fun. Yeah, I think that's how we did. Like, everybody, again, super nice. Fantastic. The show ended, so this started at 7. We get out at like 10 o'clock. So you went for like 2.5 hours. So the night one, like there's people walking around until like 1 o'clock. Everybody was so tired at the end of day 2 that like as soon as evening let out, nobody came back down. There was a couple of people outside smoking and socializing outside, but like there's nobody walking around. That's why there's only 37 minutes worth of snoogans, worth of live stream. So we wish we were there for day 3. We would love to have done the Fat Man Beyond. The Comic Book Man panel would have been interesting because it doesn't have the Tessie Boys in it. I don't know. But we left. We had a good time. We were there for 2 days. The third day would have been cool to see a couple more panels, and then we would just did a lot more of what we did day 2. But overall, a very good, fantastic weekend. All right. I'm already going a little bit long. Sorry to deal with it. I'm having a good time. To be fair, we're just at an hour. This is like normal. This is normal pacing, so we're doing okay. All right, some final thoughts. Should I, because of this experience, this is kind of like, all right, so I'm just going to throw out some ideas, some thoughts, right? Some random notes that I can barely read. I live streamed on, like Liam's all about live stream on Instagram. And I'm like, I guess. But then I'm like, I like YouTube because I'm more comfortable, like I'm very comfortable in the YouTube area, right? So we ended up setting up the phone for Instagram and the computer for YouTube. And because like part of it was so that way the YouTube people, you guys, Mom, Grandma, Nikki, they could see the live too. So we had 2 live streams going at one time. So the thought is, when I do Whimsy Live Saturday and Monday, should I set up another camera to also stream on Instagram? I don't know. It would literally be the exact same setup. Like everything would be the same. They would just. So the Instagram one, I would just have to put a camera here, so that way they get all of this. They just don't get all of the stuff up here, right? Like there's a certain value in theory of sharing it twice, right? I would get a second channel and a bunch of people watching from there. I don't know. It's an idea. It's a thought. We already did it once. And then like once we did it, like it only makes sense. Like why wouldn't I want this live stream out somewhere else? Like if you watch most of your videos via Instagram, like why wouldn't I want them also watch? I don't know. So that's an idea because I do like watch during it. I was live streaming. We were hanging out. We were doing stuff. Some of the quality of the live I mentioned, right? Whatever. It is what it is. Very whimsy, very Ben first time. Like I wouldn't really change much of anything that I did on the live streams. Liam did not want me wearing, for whatever reason, he was like half embarrassed because like day 2 I wore the Chasing the Whimsy shirt. Why didn't I pimp out? like I should have had like I should have brought one of these and put them on the tables. Like in hindsight, to be fair, we're gonna do it way better next year. But it was kind of interesting to be like, hey, I talked to a bunch of people, and half of them, it was late. Everybody's a little bit partied, so they might not have remembered anyway. But I do looking back, I think it was kind of funny that like I probably could have promoted slightly more or more efficiently. I promoted where we could, where I felt it made sense. But yeah, it definitely would have been nice to have a fucking, because the t-shirt I did have, I had to put the kind of, I don't know, somehow we got to promote it better, but I just thought that was funny. But I'm considering doing the 2 live streams from now on. We'll see. What is interesting? So this is the first year that they did it. So like, I'm not pooping on anybody. I think there's a lot of like moving pieces, and they're like, all right, let's keep shit basic, right? To make sure, because like, if the wheels fall off, like, let's not have a bunch of shit fucking break. It blew. So these final thoughts, right, Kevin? If you're watching and if you get a hold of this, here's some of my thoughts for next year, or my experiences this year. Right? Why was there not more people podcasting? Ming Chen, when he came on episode 37, he mentioned that San Diego Comic-Con has a room with tables set up and people can sit down and podcast. What do they call it? Podcast Alley? Shame on Ming Chen, to be fair. He's a shared universe. Shouldn't he have had like a fucking shared universe like table? Like, Ming Chen, I'm throwing this out there to you. I'll probably text it to you later. Next year, when we do this, like, can I run your fucking shared universe fucking table in which I will let people come down and then they all can record 15 minutes of podcast, like the episode 0 idea that I have, right? Kevin Smith is all about podcasting. Like, the whole second half of his career was revitalized because of podcasting. And like, it was a lot of nods to Kevin Smith and View Askew, but there wasn't enough nod to like fucking film or podcasting. So that's my one take. This is a takeaway for you, Kevin. It was fun and fantastic. I enjoyed podcasting. I did my thing. But I think it would have been cool for other people to kind of experience the same thing. But how fun would that be? Jason the Whimsy with a shared universe, Chronicon 2025. I don't even know what that would look like. That'd be cool. I like it. I'd do it. I'm going to send that to him today. Another random suggestion. I'm just throwing out some of these suggestions. I'm pretty sure someone's already thought of these things, but I just want it nicely recorded that I also had this similar brilliant idea. We need a women's panel. If we go back to the guests, half of his guests are fucking female, man. Boom. Women's panel. All the women of View Askew all up there having a good time. Like, I think we need one of those, because it's geek culture. Small problem of geek culture, right? It's not even really a problem. When you're there geeking out, you want to do geeky things. You want to talk about the geeky shit that we like. Like, how many? I don't really know how many weird Star Wars, like, real fucking deep cuts, jokes Kevin Smith's had to answer over the years. But I think there's a really fun opportunity to change the way that we ask questions at cons, right? Bring in a woman's panel, right? Have them talk about their experiences, what they want to do. And then, like, ask questions about, like, the individual versus their character. Like, I don't know. It's like, I got to flush that thing out a little bit, but it's going to start with, I think we need a nice woman's panel next year. So Jen, Kevin Smith, the con crew, throwing it out there. So I think it would have been fantastic to have Marilyn, Genesis, Raquel, Harley Quinn, Jen Schwabach, Shannon Elizabeth, right? Because next year we're going to have more, right? We're going to have more people. We have the girl who played Supergirl, Melissa Benoist, I think that's her name. Melissa could come in because she was in Reboot. Like, there's so many, like, I think it would be fantastic. Throw that in there. Throwing that out there. You guys should have a panel. Since I'm there next year hanging out with the Ming Chen Shared Universe table, I would be happy to help moderate that panel for you guys. Just throwing it out there, me and Liam. Chasing the Whimsy moderating panels. I think we should do that. Like I say it like half jokingly, but like there's the interesting thing is Kevin Smith had a dumb, weird, stupid idea with stupid jokes, and he made a 30-year career out of it. And he does what he loves. I'm doing what I now love. Doing it with Liam and Sophie, bringing all the family next year. Like the idea that like Jason the Whimsy, Liam and I could moderate panels next year at the con does not seem that far fucking fetched. Like, to be fair, like I don't know. Like it, you just have to like if Kevin Smith has taught us anything is like whatever random idea that you have, like you can like do something about it. Like so. This is my first the first step in my chasing the Whimsy's presence at ChronicCon next year. I don't think it's impossible. I think it'd be interesting. I think it would be fun. What else? Oh, shit! Don't break anything. Okay, if not, like, okay, here's what sucks. Liam was pretty good most of the weekend. He kind of got a little irritating when he was all tired and shit, but like he's 14 and he's tired, and I get it, right? What bothered me the most is he would not let me, before all the panels, he would not let me hype up the crowd. I think there was a huge missed opportunity there, Liam. And next year, I don't care what he's going to say, but like we're all hanging out, right? Everybody's piling in. Kevin Smith's running late because he's finishing up a photo op. So like panels are running like 10 minutes late. Everybody's like kind of quiet, hanging out. You get one guy in the corner who just like yells out like 37 or like snoochie boochies, and everybody laughs, and everybody for like a minute throwing back favorite quotes, right? Why shouldn't I have been up there hype manning? Right? Amusing stories. His buddy comes out and did 10 minutes before Jay Muse was ready. I could have just I did it. Like that's my one regret, I think. I should have jumped out there. Who wants to chase in the Whimsy sticker? Right? And then like, what's your favorite quote? Handing out stickers. Because nobody was stopping me from doing anything this weekend. That's what I've noticed. Is like, if I did it, I don't think anybody would be like, whoa, Ben, calm down. You can't have all these fans asking trivia questions about his movies. I don't know. Liam harshed me on my. You guys never heard it because I fucked up that stream. I'm a good hype man. I could have got that crowd going, getting ready for Kevin Smith. Whatever. But similar to the hype man idea is the next time. Okay, so tell him Steve Dave, right? And IJ, the Impractical Jokers, right? So Brian Quinn is on both. He started with Tell him Steve Dave, the Four Colored Demons, right? Which is like a comic book biker club. And only in that, like, he wanted a big biker's patch. And so there are Four Colored Demon meetups on any Tom Steve Dave event or IJ event. The second we hear that there is a Chronic Con next year, I'm jumping in, build a community like I don't know, something. And because I think what would be interesting is when the show, like the end of day 2, when everything was done by 10, we had access to that whole hallway. Like, why couldn't we have like gotten a bunch of people together and did like trivia and just do a fan-based event, right? I'm not with the convention. I'm not trying to be with the convention, but I think like there were so many of us, and we needed a couple of nerd leaders to be like, let's do some cool shit. And I think Kevin Smith either schedule something for like the fans in the after hours or throw out some suggestions. Because otherwise I'm doing it. Like Whimsy's gonna be like the after hours party people. Nothing crazy. Like I literally just like I'm not gonna try to get a bunch of people to go to the bar. But Liam and I were not done at 10 o'clock. We wanted to keep hanging out. So like let's spend another hour and a half. Like we don't have to go into the big rooms, but everything else was still open. So in the common areas, why couldn't we have done more stuff there? One very small problem, and I don't even know if this is even a Kevin Smith problem, but I mentioned it in the Monday episode. We have to figure out something with the pricing. Okay, there was like you have like the VIP package, right? That gave us the jersey and early access, and then you had another VIP package that gave you access to Kevin Smith, right? So you got your photo op and a signature. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get paid for your fucking signatures, right? But give me a third option that says like I can get a signed like 8x10 of everybody, so that way I'm not paying fucking $50 per person to get a signature. Maybe I get like a sweet discount. I can still get, I'll still pay to get my pop signed. But I think it would have been cool to be like, to get a package that I could have, like, I would love to have had like 11 pictures signed by people. And then also my book and Liam's pops, right? Like, it was weird to be like, I'll pay for a signature, but to pay for like 6 signatures for fucking 6 items? Give me a package. And again, I'm not shitting on any of this. This is the first year. They're still working shit out. I get it. Like, I'm not complaining, but I'm just getting it out there that next year when there's a picture package, I'm going to be hitting this fucking day and be like, well, Ben fucking came up with that idea. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, but the economy is all jacked up. Like the economics of like the example I used before was like, if you go to Comic-Con, there's like 100 things that you could see and you're going to want to see, and you're going to want to meet people, but there's only like a handful. So like bigger convention, you want to see all of it, but you're only going to get like 10% of signatures, right? Because you're like, I love this guy, but I don't need a signature from him. Problem with this one is you want a signature from every single person there. So somewhere you lose track of your budget because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go get these 8 people's signatures at a regular con, and then their pricing probably a little bit different. But this one here is like, oh, I want everybody. So work on the pricing, like it's almost Disneyland, in which like if we just got the VIPs, we would have had a good time, but we would have had nothing to show for. We would have met everybody still. Everybody was still really nice, but there was definitely something cool about coming home and putting something on your shelf that was signed. That's all I'm saying. Is Disneyland is pricing itself to the point where like not everybody can go now, right? And then once you get inside, now I got to pay for a fucking a $12 cheeseburger or a $40 cheeseburger. So next year, play with the pricing just a little bit, or give us more in the packages. A lot of the people who did the Kevin Smith experience with the photo ops said they needed to structure the photo ops slightly better, because he's like, that guy was running around all day. But and then the last 2 thoughts that I had, one is just another huge shout out. There's like fucking 6 shorts that I have just shouting out the crew and the staff behind the scenes of ChroniCon 2024. They killed it. They had everything put together. There was one mishap day one with some microphones for the +1 panel, but everything else went off without a hitch. Day two, they were doing crowd control. They're communicating. They're fucking running around crazy. That crew was like the hardest working crew that weekend, man. They were having a great time. They were fantastic. So just want to take 2 seconds and thank the ChroniCon crew for everything you guys did. A lot of them, like Liam and I made friends with lots of them. So we had a really good, cool time with them. They were fantastic. I know Kevin Smith will give them their props. But I want to take a second from like the fan side and be like, that crew was fantastic. And then last one is just to Kevin Smith. Thanks for an awesome weekend. We had a blast. We look forward to doing it again. You have a cruise coming up in 2026 that Liam wants to go on. So we're going to try and figure out how to get over there. But before that cruise, we got another ChroniCon next year, we hope. We like to come back. We are going to do what we can to get some whimsy up in that. Because no one else is trying. That's my takeaway from this whole weekend. Nobody took their shot. Like Kevin Smith had a whole thing right after Zach and Mary back in like 06, 07, where he was just all about hockey and fucking Gretzky. Like what's the quote? You miss 100% of the shots you never take or some shit. I don't know. No, I didn't see anybody taking shots this weekend. I'm taking my shots then, now. I'm still reaching out to everybody. Like I'm doing my part. I'm gonna take my shot. We're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna see Whimsy at ChroniCon 2026 next year, 2025 next year. That's all I got. So that's my wrap up. Literally most of the same shit that we talked about on the episode. So it's recorded. I might put it out. I don't know. But that's it. I'm going to put it out probably. I don't care. So those of you who don't listen to the podcast, who only watch the live, that is ChroniCon 2024, wildly successful. Kevin Smith, his crew, everybody should be super happy. Because of this weekend, we're going to see it again. It was a good time. Loved it. Went a little long. It happened. So it was a good weekend, though. We're almost done. We got to end the show proper. One more commercial, and then we'll get you guys out of here.
Hey there, Whimsy fans. We wanted to take a moment away from the fun to express how much your support and contributions mean to us. If you're liking what you're hearing from us so far, we'd like to invite you to show us some love on our new Patreon. Starting at just $1 a week, you can help us keep the whimsy coming. That's not just our podcast, but live streams and new projects on the horizon as well. All members get special shout out during our live streams. If you're comfortable giving a little more, please take a look at our gift tier. These gifts are hand-picked by the Whimsy crew to bring more curiosity, fun, and whimsy to you as thanks for your support. Every little bit counts, and whether you support us by listening and subscribing to our podcasts, holding court on our lives, or subscribing to our Patreon, thank you for helping us keep the magic alive and the mics on. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/chasingthewhimsy, or follow the link on our YouTube channel at Chasing the Whimsy. Thank you again for all the support. Whimsy!
For all the Patreon people, Andy, Nikki family, Megan family, Joyce, Ann, Enderfrog EC1. EC1, thank you for hanging out in the chats Saturday night. Gooster, Nina M, Violet, Anna, my dad. Courtney will probably be on here soon. She's so funny. Thank you guys for the Patreon. We were able to use the Patreon to make those some wooden tokens for Ming. So we're making some more mascots and wooden tokens. It just helps. It helps. I love it. It's gonna help us make some more cool shit. So we thank you guys for your support. This is how it starts. You know, you guys are at ground level before we go to WhimsyCon in 30 years. Oh my God, I hope it's not 30 years. we're gonna do WhimsyCon in 10 and see if we can get a nice, good following. We'll have a WhimsyCon. I had an idea. I think I had two more final thoughts from earlier. The Patreon people, thank you. If you guys are watching, you can sign up for the Patreon. There's a $4 tier to just kind of help support, get your name on the live streams. There's a $10 tier that gets you some gifts. I did not get enough signatures from Ming because I felt like I was a huge pain in the ass. He signed some stuff for me, but like it was too busy of a weekend for him to sit down and be like, "Can you sign these fucking tokens for me?" But we do have some Ming Chen tokens going to be one of the gifts coming out soon. So the $10 tier, you'll get some of those cool gifts that we got coming out. So I thank you guys all, the Patreon and support. If you guys can't do the pay stuff, hang out, interact. Unboxables up here, Invader on Instagram. She's hanging out now. Comment, hang out, subscribe, listen. At the very least, we appreciate you guys. The two random thoughts that I had earlier. Okay, to wrap it up, this is the final thoughts. We were doing the live streams. Why didn't we just do a fucking podcast? Like I think next year, Chasing the Whimsy episode, like a straight bring people in. I don't know. I think we definitely need to promote the Whimsy more while we're there. And then just the last, Kevin Smith, for the most part, has a very successful career. He does he does the things that he enjoys, and he brings in people that he likes. He keeps the friends and family. He reuses the same people. Like he's built a community, and that's what Whimsy is doing. So invite all you guys to become part of this community. But we're having a good time, man. Just do something that you like, that makes you happy. And then if we've learned anything from Kevin Smith, is bring your friends and family in to enjoy the ride. So all of you guys, I appreciate you guys hanging out and enjoying this ride. Who knows, what next year will look like, but we're killing it for year 2, guys. We've only been doing this for 2 years. Like, we're in year 2. And we are just blowing up this one. Like Liam even commented, he's like, "This really is the best second year." And I'm like, "I know, right?" Like, it's been fantastic. It's been fun. You guys have a good rest of the night. Sorry for going long, but that's what it is. That's what we do. Hour and a half or something. It's like early live streams. At least I don't try to go for like this random 2 hour where I just keep talking for no reason. Have a good night. Kevin Smith, thank you for everything. Love you guys. Bye. Whimsy. I gotta figure out how to turn it off. Bye. Whimsy.